Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's Kyle Henderson of BamaInsider.com coming to you from beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama on Monday, March 30th. Today, I'm talking about the Alabama tight ends. I'm going to talk about 3 tight ends for the upcoming 2020 season. And surprisingly, I'm going to start with a sophomore by the name of Jahleel Billingsley. I know that there's a lot of you out there who already know about Billingsley out of Chicago, Illinois, but the 6'4", 230-pound tight end is a tight end that I expect to really blossom in 2020. I think when you look at a tight end who can do it all for Alabama in terms of making the catch, turning it upfield, making players miss on defense, a guy that can block, I think it's going to be Jahleel Billingsley. I think Alabama has needed a tight end like this since Irv Smith left, and Jahleel Billingsley is going to fit that role come the 2020 season. I think the early splashes that we saw from him last year were great. I mean, this guy runs like a hybrid wide receiver type tight end. He can utilize his body type to make the tough catch. And I think that we're about to see somebody very special at Alabama at that tight end position. Yeah, I know Alabama has a lot of talented wide receivers coming back, but I think Jahleel Billingsley adds to that arsenal of firepower. He's only 228 pounds right now. That's what he's listed on RollTide.com. Maybe that'll change. I'd like to maybe see him get to that 235, 240-pound range, and I still think he could be athletic. But Jahleel Billingsley is certainly a guy I really expect to do big things for Alabama, and I think you could even split him out wide and create some matchup problems. It'll just kind of depend on how creative Steve Sarkisian will be with Jahleel Billingsley, but I think you're going to really see Billingsley get onto the field in 2020. Now, the next tight end you already know about. He's a redshirt senior. That's Miller Forristall, 6'5", 242 pounds, and this guy is going to be probably a team captain this year. This is a guy who has a lot of experience. This is a guy who's dealt with some injuries, but this is a guy who's proven that he knows the offense inside and out. He knows what it takes to get to that next level. He's a great downfield blocker. If you watch film, he can really get to that second level and, put the helmet right on the linebacker. I mean, this guy is a very talented young man, a big dude too. 6'5", 245 pounds. He had a throat injury last year when he came back, and I think when you look at his stats overall, Alabama didn't need to go too much to the tight ends, but throughout the 2019 season, he played in 9 games, scored 4 touchdowns, and caught 15 passes for 167 yards. Now, total at Alabama since 2016, he's played in 42 games, 21 receptions, 252 yards, 4 touchdowns throughout his career, his longest of 32, and this is a guy who also returns to the offensive side. So when you look at the offensive side of the ball, there's so much talent and so much depth returning. And Miller Forristall is a guy who Saban, knows he can be a leader out on the field and a guy that can make plays. I mean, don't sleep on Forristall. I know we just talked about Jahleel Billingsley, but Miller Forristall, he can make you miss and he can be a problem inside the red zone. Now, the third tight end that we're going to talk about isn't even on the roster right now, and that's Carl Tucker. He's a grad transfer from North Carolina. Alabama didn't have a big, burly tight end last year, and that's why you saw even Kendall Randolph, who was an offensive lineman, rotate out to that tight end position, just because Alabama, when they needed an extra blocker, they didn't have anybody like that. Carl Tucker is probably going to fill that void. 6'2", 250 pounds, comes from North Carolina, very physical player. I think this guy you should be excited about. And he has a lot of experience coming from North Carolina. Talk with some people from North Carolina. They tell me that he doesn't have the best overall hands, but he has been known to make some good plays. So excited to see what he can bring. But in terms of a big body tight end, he's going to be that guy for Alabama. So look for him to gear up inside those red zone situations and provide some power, another power blocker. During the 2019 season, he caught 5 receptions for 54 yards with a touchdown. His only touchdown was against Appalachian State, where he had 3 receptions, 34 yards, and that touchdown, which was for 15 yards. Overall, his career statistics at North Carolina, and we're talking about Carl Tucker, who's a grad transfer from North Carolina, played in 38 games, 36 receptions, 549 yards with 4 touchdowns. So you're looking at a guy who, similar to Miller Forristall in terms of he has a lot of experience. I mean, just like we said, Miller Forristall, I think he's played in 42 total games. So this guy, Carl Tucker, being an upperclassman, provides another Another player that has experience is that big body tight end that Alabama hasn't had. And then you have Jahleel Billingsley, who we led off the video with, who's Alabama's, what I feel, dynamic tight end returning to the 2020 season. Like to get your comments in the comment box on the tight end position. I know it's not an overly flashy position to talk about, but Alabama, as you can see, certainly has plenty of weapons inside the tight end position. And of course, there's some other guys on the roster that probably turn heads as we get closer to the football season. But right now, I like Jahleel Billingsley, the sophomore. I like Miller Forristall, that senior coming back, and then Carl Tucker. Excited to see what he can bring during the 2020 season. Hope everyone's doing well out there. Appreciate you guys watching. Please remember to like and subscribe. Keeps the channel going. And we'll be coming back to you with another video shortly right here on BamaInsider.com. From Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Kyle Henderson.